This is Fat to Fierce. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles. I'm your host, Amy English. Join me on this empowering adventure towards a healthier relationship with food, body, and self, one delicious bite at a time. Hi there. This is the Fat to Fierce podcast. My name is Amy English, emotional eating coach and creator of the Fat to Fierce Life Coach program. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the 5 things I wish I would have done before I lost 100 pounds the first time. If you've listened to some of the previous episodes, you may have heard the story I shared when I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2013. I had just lost 100 pounds, huge accomplishment. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer and quickly gained back 30 pounds within the first month of my diagnosis. So today I want to talk a little bit about there are some specific things, 5 specific things. There's probably more, but I'm going to focus on 5 for the sake of this episode. There are 5 really specific things that I wish I would have done before I lost the weight. And the reason I wish I would have done these things, like I learned about these things after the fact. I learned about these 5 things after having experienced everything that I experienced after the breast cancer diagnosis and on my path to becoming a life coach. These are all the things I've learned in the years of study and certification and just learning more about myself and understanding myself better and really understanding the game of weight loss and the mixed messages it sends and really what's lacking in that industry, the stuff that nobody seems to talk a lot about because the focus is so much on the number. Now, I could get on a rant right now, and I feel one brewing, a rant about why these things are left out of the weight loss industry, but I'm not going to go there just yet. Stay tuned. That's coming. Let me focus. Let me stay focused on the topic at hand today. And that's the 5 things I wish I would have done. I did not know about these things prior to becoming a life coach. So before that, pre-2013, I was doing what everybody else was doing. I mean, at the time I was, drinking the shakes, doing all the exercise programs, putting my food in containers, perfectly portioned containers, following all the rules. I was really good at it. I was good at losing weight. I could lose a ton of weight. I was really good at following the rules, of doing what everybody told me, of following the meal plans. But here's what would happen. I would be really good at it. I would drop weight. And then as soon as I stopped the plan or as soon as life threw a curveball, i.e. breast cancer, everything went out the window. And I reverted back to all of my old habits, all of the old habits that I had with food. I remember certain things, like when my kids were little and they would go to bed and I'd be standing in front of the pantry door, just shoveling handfuls of their Teddy Grahams into my face because it was time to relax. So I have thinking that the ice cream was calling my name, after a really busy, stressful day, or just not caring. I don't care. Like, I don't feel like following this today. Let's just order pizza or whatever. Like, I would just kind of go off the rails. And every time I went off the rails, I stayed off the rails for a really long time until I, pulled it together and got myself back on plan and continued following, the plan until the next time something happened. If you're listening to this And this sounds familiar. This is the cycle. Okay. This is the cycle a lot of us go through when we're focused on weight loss without addressing these 5 things that I'm going to talk about today. Okay. So let me just dive in and get started. So again, these are 5 things like I didn't know about before. Nobody talked about them, but these are the 5 things I wish I would have done before I lost 100 pounds the first time. They're the things I wish I would have done different. Here we go. Number 1, I wish I would have focused on building self-confidence, building my confidence in myself. Because what I've learned is that confidence is an inside job. It is not going to matter. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this very defiantly. It doesn't matter how much weight you lose. That's not going to create confidence, not long-term confidence. As I've mentioned, I've lost a lot of weight. I felt really good about myself the times that I did, but there was always something missing. I distinctly remember having lost 100 pounds in 2013 and, feeling really proud and happy and excited. Oh, sure, I felt confident. Absolutely. But it still wasn't enough. I still wanted to lose more. Another 20 pounds, another 40 pounds. Okay. And what else can I do? It wasn't enough. And I still was not treating myself in a kind way. I was still very harsh with myself, very critical. I can remember looking in the mirror, still not liking what I saw, the reflection looking back. I was still talking about myself in a very negative way. I was still having challenges when I was going shopping because I wasn't a certain size. Okay. So, yes, it was fantastic that I lost weight and I felt confident for a hot minute. But when you don't have true confidence in yourself, that initial confidence, it's kind of like a fake confidence, if you will. That initial confidence is fleeting if you don't really feel good about yourself inside, regardless of what the scale says. So building self-confidence is an inside job. It is about, it's how you feel about yourself. It's how you treat yourself. It's how you talk to yourself and how you talk about yourself to other people. You know what I'm talking about when you're, with friends or whatever, and like, oh, I just look like crap today, or, oh, I wish I could just, cut this fat off. I used to say that like regularly. What a terrible thing to say, right? So it's how you talk to yourself and how you talk about yourself when you're with others or with yourself, right? That focus, if that doesn't change, it's not going to matter what the scale does or what the tape measurement does, or if you got into, a smaller size of jeans. If all of that doesn't change, it's kind of pointless. So I wish I would have focused on building my self-confidence first. And the way to do that, the way to start right now building your self-confidence is really start paying attention to the way that you talk about yourself, to the way that you talk to yourself, and to the way that you feel about yourself. Find some things that you do like about yourself. Again, it can be anything. It could be your hair. It could be your eyes. It could be your hands. It doesn't matter. Just start finding things that you appreciate about yourself, more specifically about your body, because the way that you talk to yourself and think about yourself and feel about yourself is going to make all the difference. I spent a lot of time on that one. So that is number 1 though. I wish I would have focused on building my self-confidence first, or in addition to working on my goal. All right, number 2, I wish I would have healed my relationship with food and my body first. Okay. This is important because there is a real difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. And understanding how your body feels. Okay, this is healing the relationship with your body specifically, is just being able to pay attention to your body and knowing the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. Because once you know the difference, once you know what true physical hunger feels like in your body, now remember, this is different for everybody, okay? But when you know what true physical hunger feels like in your body, then you can start to question. When you start having a hankering for a hunk of cheese, oh my goodness, or some chocolate or chips or whatever, you can check in. Am I really hungry right now? Am I physically hungry right now? Or am I looking for something to fill a void? Am I looking for something because I'm bored? Am I looking for something because I had a really crappy day at work today and I'm feeling stressed? You can start to question. And then once you start to question it, you can decide what you want to do. This is truly how you take your power back from food. Okay. When I first started this, I can't even tell you how many times a day I would check in to see if I was truly physically hungry. And if I wasn't physically hungry, why did I want the food? Why did I want to eat? What was I looking for in that moment? This is also very effective when you're learning to manage your cravings. Because, and now I'm sharing this as somebody who craved chocolate and sweets on the regular, like multiple times throughout the day. Okay. Once you understand the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger, and you can check in and recognize how you're feeling in the moment, you start to have that craving. Oh, I just need something sweet, or oh, I just need something salty. Okay. You can actually check in and recognize that it's a craving, because here's the deal: cravings are very rarely about like about food or even about physical hunger. They're rarely about food. Cravings are about finding something that you're longing for, okay? Whether it be fun or whether it be comfort or something, right? So when you can recognize, I notice that I'm craving chocolate right now. I notice that I really want some chocolate in this moment. What First of all, am I hungry? And if you're not, what am I looking for in this moment? What am I looking for that chocolate to solve? It's a really powerful question. This is how you can learn to manage your cravings, because your cravings actually don't have power over you. You're always in charge. And here's the amazing part: once you've checked in and asked yourself, okay, I notice I'm craving chocolate right now. What is it I'm looking for? What is it I really want? Will the chocolate solve for this? Do I want to eat it? Once you make a conscious choice, it doesn't matter if you have it or not. The point is, you've taken your power back. You're in charge. You're at the wheel. Food is no longer driving the car. Okay. And that's really powerful. And that's what I mean by healing the relationship with food and your body, recognizing that food is just food and your body can actually work with you as your friend. In fact, it is necessary to learn to work with your body in connection with your this vessel, this beautiful vessel that carries you through this life. So healing that relationship is so incredibly important to taking back your power and actually realizing that you are in charge. Okay. So number 3 of the 5 things I wish I would have done before I lost 100 pounds the first time. Number 3, I wish I would have had more compassion for myself, less criticism. I've talked about this before, and perhaps in another episode, and definitely in some of my reels. Trash talking yourself is not helpful. Never. It's never helpful. Like, there's never a moment where it's like, yeah, this is helpful to trash talk myself. There's a benefit to this. No, there's not, ever. So stop it. Listen, I know it's easier said than done as someone who trash talked herself for decades, okay? But here's the thing. the more we criticize ourselves, the worse we're going to feel. Okay. When you're over there criticizing yourself, calling yourself names, talking smack about yourself, beating yourself up, all of that stuff, how does it feel? It's never going to feel good. It's certainly not motivating. We're going to get into that in a second. It's not helpful. And what it does is it makes us feel worse about ourselves. And if you're somebody who eats emotionally, meaning you eat in response to negative feelings, that is the true definition of emotional eating. So if you're somebody who eats in response to feeling bad, feeling negative emotions, what do you think criticizing yourself is going to do? It's going to make you feel bad and it's going to make you eat. I mean, I laugh, but I know it's not funny. Like, I lived in this for a really long time, but it's like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. When you talk bad about yourself, when you criticize yourself, you're going to feel worse about yourself. And when you feel worse about yourself, you're going to eat if you have this habit. Okay. This is how the cycle strengthens over time, because we don't even realize the cycle is happening if we don't stop to look at it. Okay. Very, very important. Got to recognize it. This is the rant is brewing. The rant I mentioned earlier is brewing. This is where we think, oh, I'll follow this plan, or I'm going to follow this person's way of eating, or I'm going to do keto, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. But if you're not addressing the way that you talk about yourself, the way you feel about yourself, the relationship with food, none of it matters, because you're not trusting yourself. You're not listening to yourself. You're not hearing your own voice, and you're not resolving any of this stuff, which is why you revert back to the old habits as soon as you're done following so-and-so's plan. Okay, let me get back to topic. So less criticism, more compassion. What does compassion sound like? What does it sound like for you? Maybe I don't have to be so mean to myself. What's one nice thing I could say about myself today? Or even like, I'm trying to think of some of the things I used to say to myself when I was first like looking at this and overcoming the habit of emotional eating. When I did have a binge, for example, this is a good one. When I would have a binge, instead of, oh my God, you did it again, this is pointless, you'll never learn, why bother, blah, blah, blah. Instead of all that nonsense, I would just sit with myself and say, okay, this happened. You just had a binge. You're figuring this out. It's okay. You've done this for a long time. You've had these habits with food for a really long time. It's going to take some time to figure it out. It's going to take some time to change. Can I be patient with myself? Do I deserve to be patient with myself? Do I deserve to change this? Yes, I think I do. So it's just really talking to yourself in a different way, talking to yourself as you would a friend. How would you talk to your friend the way you talk to yourself? I know back in the day, I would not have talked to anybody the way that I talked to myself. I was terrible to myself. So less criticism, more compassion. And really that's just talking to yourself like you would a friend or a loved one and being a little bit nicer. And listen, it's not going to feel easy at first. Okay. It's not, if you've been criticizing yourself for a really long time, it's not going to feel easy to change this. Again, it's something that takes time and practice, and just really recognizing, oops, I'm trash talking myself again. Okay, let's see. What else could be true? My favorite question, by the way. That is my favorite question I love to ask clients in private sessions. What else could be true? Write it down. It's a good one. Okay, number 4. I wish I would have relied less on willpower and motivation. Here's where the motivation comes in. Listen, willpower and motivation were never intended to be long-term solutions. If I had $1 for every time I would say to myself, I'm just not motivated, I have no motivation, I have no willpower. No, we're not. We're not supposed to have motivation and willpower all the time. That's not how either of those works. So instead of relying on motivation and willpower, thinking that was the key to success, I wish I would have relied more on determination and resilience. Because let's talk about resilience for a second, okay? If anyone listening has been dieting or focused on weight loss for more than 5 years, you're resilient. Okay? You're resilient. Use that to your advantage. Use that as a powerful tool, as a powerful ally. Recognize your resilience, your willingness to keep going, and that determination to just keep trying, even when you mess up. It's another area where diets fail us, friends, is when we mess up. And like we throw it all out the window. No, of course you're going to mess up. That's life. Like, of course you're going to mess up. Of course you're going to have a day. Nothing's perfect. It's having that determination and that resilience to just, okay, you know what? Move on. Take a step in a different direction. Don't, instead of blocking yourself, find a way around, over, or under, or through the hurdle, right? So yeah. So I wish I would have relied more on determination and resilience instead of the willpower motivation. Listen, willpower and motivation certainly have their time, right? They're helpful. They're great, but they're not like these long-term, got to be motivated and have all this willpower all the time. It's just not reality. Okay. So determination and resilience. And notice your resilience. Okay. Because I guarantee if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you're really determined and resilient. I just have a hunch. Okay. Last but not least, number 5. The 5 things I wish I would have done before I lost 100 pounds the first time. I wish I would have understood that weight fluctuates. It fluctuates. That's very real. And it can fluctuate daily. My body fluctuates daily. I can fluctuate up to 7 pounds in a day, all depending what's going on with my body at the moment. Hello, hormones. What I ate the day before, how much water I did or didn't drink, how much sodium I had. If I have anything, I mean, I don't eat a ton of salt anyway because it doesn't feel good in my body. It's another benefit to healing the relationship with your body because you really start to notice how certain foods feel in your body. And you can ask yourself, do I want to feel that way? This is why I don't drink alcohol anymore. It leaves me feeling like absolute crap. Anyway, so yes, depending on what I have the day before, like my weight fluctuates constantly. It's never the same. This is funny. Every time I eat something sweet, so if I have a piece of birthday cake, for example, or a piece of pie at Thanksgiving, I will always be up 3 pounds the next day. It never fails. I mean, it's actually kind of funny. My husband and I laugh about it. I will always be up 3 pounds the next day. It never fails. And then it just tapers right off. This is another reason why the scale is not your enemy, okay? I could probably do an entire episode on this. Ooh, rebuilding the relationship with the scale. The scale is just a box on the floor that provides data. It gives information. It tells you your gravitational pull on the planet. That's it. And it can actually be used as a really helpful and useful tool to manage your body, to get not to beat yourself up or condemn yourself for, eating a piece of cake, but for simply understanding the way that your body works. The reason I know I gained 3 pounds after eating something sweet is because I use the scale as a tool to understand my body better, to understand how my body works. And that's actually really helpful. Okay, because the number is just a number. It's meaningless. But you understanding the way that your body works, that's information that you can always use to your advantage. It's just another way of reconnecting with yourself. Okay, I got off topic. Back to number 5. Yes, weight fluctuates. And here's what happens when our weight changes, or hold on a second. I get very passionate about this topic. When our weight changes, we tend to beat ourselves up, more self-criticism, right? Then we'll start to use food for comfort or rebellion. Okay, that's another thing. Food can be used as either comfort or rebellion a lot of times. Just keep that information tucked away for a rainy day. I'll do a podcast on that too. But your weight is going to fluctuate. And instead of beating yourself up about it, just recognizing that that's normal, it's okay. And what do you want to do something to change it? Because again, this is all about you taking your power back. This is all about you taking the wheel and being in the driver's seat of your own journey instead of relying on someone or something else to do it for you, right? It's about taking your power back. That's what Fat to Fierce is, friends. It's about you being in charge of your journey. Okay. Bodies change, hormones change. We all know that, ladies, don't we? Weight is going to fluctuate. And if you're using the scale as a form of data, and listen, I know that there is a lot of trauma attached to the scale. I get it. I stood there in phys ed in gym class back in the 80s and had to get weighed, step on a scale in front of all my classmates. Oh, I remember. Not fun. And a lot of my clients had similar experiences, right? So I get the hate for the scale. I understand it. I hated it too. Actually, my husband had an old video from a long time ago where he smashed a scale with a sledgehammer. It's somewhere on his Facebook. Anyway, I get it. But when you can realize that it's actually not, the scale's not the problem, the number's not the problem, it's all the messaging we've received over the years, that's the problem. So when you can see that the scale is not an enemy and it can actually be a useful tool to help you get to know your body better and help you manage your journey, if that's what you want to do, why not? Why not? Okay, so those are the five things I wish I would have done before I lost 100 pounds the first time. And I'll just quickly recap, and then we'll be done today. 1, wish I would have focused on building self-confidence first. 2, wish I would have healed my relationship with food and my body. So important. 3, wish I would have had more compassion, less criticism. 4, wish I would not have relied so much on willpower and motivation and instead focused on determination and resilience and my ability to always keep going. And 5, wish I would have understood that weight fluctuates. It's totally normal. We don't have to beat ourselves up about it. All right. I hope this was helpful. And listen, if you'd like to get support on any of this, Fat to Fierce in general, healing your relationship with food and your body, and stepping aside from the toxic diet culture and just unraveling all the mixed messaging over the years, I'm your girl. Go ahead, visit amyenglishcc.com, book a consultation. It's a free consultation. You and I will spend about an hour on the phone talking about what you're struggling with most. See if Fat to Fierce is a good fit for private coaching and go from there. All right. I hope you have a great day. Are you ready to take control of your eating, embrace your body, and boost your confidence? Then let's get fierce. Start your Fat to Fierce journey today. Go to amyenglishcc.com for more resources and to book your discovery call.